Canada, I'm sorry. We're sorry. I promise you it's not us. It's them. It's him. We have always been great neighbors, and I'm hoping it can stay that way. But honestly, I'll understand if you have to make moves that are not so friendly. The one thing that I'm asking, though, on behalf of myself and everyone else who understands what's happening, is if you could keep your borders open, that would be wonderful, because some of us are going to need some place to go if we can afford to go. And I can't swim. So if you could keep your borders open, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Talk about F around and find out. Wow. America is going to be in total darkness. Within a month, America is going to find itself in total darkness unless Trump recedes his threat to apply the 25% tariff to Canada. Because Canada has spoken. Ontario, Canada's Premier Doug Ford have sent a very strong warning to Trump, letting Trump know exactly how he plans to execute putting America in darkness, starting with New York, Minnesota, and Michigan. He ain't playing. He wants Trump to know that actions have consequences. And while he's trying to make America great again, it will not be at the expense of Canadians. I bet y'all didn't know that Canada is a powerhouse. When I tell you a literal powerhouse, 60% of the crude oil that America imports is supplied by Canada. 85% of electricity that is imported by the US of A is provided by Canada. Canada literally powers millions of American homes every single day. And when we find ourselves in darkness, we have Trump to thank. Because Doug Ford wants Trump to understand that actions have consequences. And he cannot go around making threats and think that other countries will not retaliate. F around and find out, y'all. Trump is going to F around and find out very quickly that these countries are not going to just simply lay back, lay down, and take his threats or take his BS.
Hey, have y'all seen this stuff about Canada preparing to go to war with us right now? Listen, I don't really get into the politics and stuff like that, but both Canada and Mexico is not feeling Trump right now. So Canada is under the impression that Trump wants to make them the 51st state. And they not going for it, and they getting prepared to have to defend themselves. And honestly, how can you blame them? Dog got in office and immediately started talking about making the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. It sounds like you on a conquering type of a mission to me. Right now, they're taking measures for a civil war. But this is the part that I'm worried about. I live in Michigan, so the Canadian border is like 25-minute drive from my house. And we all know that like a solid 70% of the world do not like America, right? We can't afford to be beefing with our neighbors north and south of us. Mexico and Canada do not really rock with us right now after Trump got in office and putting all these tariffs down. Who's to say they don't just lay out the red carpet for Russia, China, or North Korea to come set up shop right at the border 25 minutes away from my house? Like, this could get a little spooky. You can only make so many enemies before motherfuckers get together and decide to jump. And I'm way too close to the Canadian border being in Michigan. If tension continues to build, I might find myself in Thailand or the Philippines or somewhere that people ain't got smoke with. It might be time to move to Switzerland. I don't know. Something got it.
Donald Trump says he's now eliminating military protection for Canada.
And Canada's been tough on the military because they have a very low military cost. They think we're going to protect them with our military, which is unfair. So
he then took another jab at Governor Trudeau and suggested that Canada become a 51st state instead, saying they need our protection.
See, I believe that the people of the ancient past were very wise people. They were very strategic and they were very thoughtful in how they did their things. We had communities fighting one another. We had tribal wars. We had empire against empire, kingdom against kingdom. But there's one thing which stands out, A wise man will always choose the path of peace. A wise man will always choose the path that will lead to less bloodshed. That is who a wise man, wise, yeah, not white. Don't judge them by their answers. Judge them by their questions. That is how you know if someone is good or someone is bad. That is how you can even tell if someone is intelligent. Don't judge them by their answers. No. The questions they ask will trigger some things into people's minds. Like somebody like Hitler. Hitler asked some questions that triggered the Nazi war against the Jewish people. Of the situation that is happening right now in the United States of America and its neighbor, Canada. Yeah. Canada neighbors, USA from the north, or to the north of America we have Canada, to the south of Canada we have USA. These countries have long had peaceful coexistence among one another, but ever since the president of USA right now, Mr. Donald Trump, came into power, Canada and USA are attempting to show us that there might be a possibility of a war between these two countries that have always had a peaceful coexistence for very many years. We know that US is one of the greatest economies in the world, but that does not leave Canada to one of the least. Canada is also one which is a country which is also having a substantial and significant economic development. You know, even if we look at the military prowess, Canada has good military. You know, they have always shared intelligence between one another. USA, Canada, Canada, USA. Right? The emergence of war between Canada, or rather the emergence of a possibility, this is a possibility of war between Canada and USA, has been, people have proclaimed different reasons why this is happening. You know, these people are people from Canada and people from the United States of America. I want us to listen to these arguments. Let's listen to them carefully. I shall get back where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
We've obviously been having this ongoing conversation about the United States and Canada, and there have been people in my comment sections and in other people's comment sections talking about how easy it would be to overrun Canada, and how there's a gentleman in particular that goes by the name of West Virginia Oathkeeper who believes that his West Virginia militia, not even the U.S. military, just his little militia, could take Canada in a day. I wish he would stop talking about it and actually start trying to do it so that we could see if he's right or not. But I made several pieces of content explaining how it is my belief that if his little militia were to try to do this, we could clean up what would be left of them with a sponge, because the Canadian civilians, without even the Canadian army, would leave these motherfuckers in puddles and pieces. Enter this guy. Canadians are unarmed. Get real. You think so? You think Canadians are just all unarmed? You should go to Canada and test that theory out. Really, you should. You're telling me that a nation that's one of the biggest nations for hunters is completely unarmed? I'm going to have a blast with the comment section of this one. P.S. Any Canadians that are watching this, stitch this video and show him how unarmed you are.
Donald Trump says he's now eliminating military protection for Canada.
And Canada's been tough on the military because they have a very low military cost. They think we're going to, protect them with our military, which is unfair. So
he then took another jab at Governor Trudeau and suggested that Canada become a 51st state instead, saying they need our protection.
I cannot believe that Canada just did that. At a Toronto Raptors game, when this lady was singing the USA national anthem before the game, the entire crowd started to boo. How disgraceful. Let me show you the clip. Yeah, Yeah, so that was disrespectful as fuck. Listen, that is crazy. Like, I'm sitting here like, wow. Yeah. Okay. Cool, cool. Listen, you might not like the idea of tariffs, but that is actually insane. That is so disrespectful. She didn't deserve that. Our flag didn't deserve that. Our country didn't deserve that. If they don't like the situation with the tariffs, sure, express your concerns. But that.
Hey, am I missing something? Canada's part of the Commonwealth. That's an alliance of 56 countries. Where the are you guys? We're preparing for war over here. Our Prime Minister just said that the US is planning to annex us. It's not a joke. Where are you? We sent our soldiers to world wars when you asked, many under British command. 100,000 never came home. 5,000 died alongside of you just for Normandy. Where are the counter-tariffs? Where's the outrage? Where are you? When we vote in federal elections here, the winning party gets permission from King Charles to form government. Ceremonial, maybe, but we still do it. The king's still our head of state. Where are the proclamations? The empty offices, because the diplomats have been recalled. Where are you? No, really, Your Majesty, where are... Oh, right. Even the EU is talking about letting us into their alliance. The EU, we are nowhere near Europe, but they're willing to step up and have our back. My wife has had 24 surgeries. Some of them saved her life. You know how much we paid for them? About $100 for parking. I'm sorry, Americans, but nobody here wants to be part of the U.S. Nobody. So where are the Commonwealth countries? And why have they stayed silent when a sister country might soon be taken over by a fascist regime? Did you learn nothing from World War II? Trump won't stop with us. When there's only 55 of you left, then will you say something when it's too late? 2.5 billion people are in the Commonwealth. You have economic power. We're not here to drink tea. Do the bare minimum. Put out a fucking news release or something. Show us we're not alone here. Unless you want to be next.
Canada could be breaking up with the US. Watch this. Canada is now looking for new trade partners in order to reduce its dependence on the US. In fact, in just the past few days, Canada has already finalized a new trade deal with Ecuador, has reopened discussions with the UK, and is even looking for new ways to ship oil to China. Currently, the US is Canada's largest trading partner, and if you look at the numbers, it's not even close. And when we look south of the border, Canada is one of the US's largest trading partners too. However, tariff threats have caused some Canadians to boycott US products, and is also causing some to say we should be unleashing our own massive resource potential. So what do you guys think? Is it time for Canada to get a divorce, or should we stick it out with our old friends? Let me know.
So the FAFO is starting to kick in the U.S. at this point over Trump's tariffs. Already the price of everything is going up. People are already panic buying. Whereas in Canada, it's business as usual. Because, see, what the Orange Daddy forgot to mention to you guys is the reason we have a trade deficit is because Canada's super resource rich and doesn't actually need very much from the U.S. In fact, most of what we buy from you guys is just wants. It's stuff like cars or electronics, things we can easily source other places, whereas the things that the U.S. buys from Canada, these are needs. These are things like steel and lumber and oil and electricity and potash and uranium and nickel, and I can keep going. These are things that are absolutely vital to the United States economy because you guys consume way more than you can produce. So you could say, yeah, well, we could just find that stuff elsewhere, but all the other places that can produce it, you already pissed them off. And you already added the tariffs to them too. So you kind of shot yourself in the foot because now it just gave us the incentive to set up new trade agreements with other people and completely cut out the U.S. So if I was an American citizen, I think at this point, I'd be demanding a regime change and kicking that Cheeto out of the office, dusting off those crumbs, and putting an adult in charge because this isn't going to go well for you guys. We'll be just fine.
And today we have an example of fuck around and find out on a micro level instead of a macro level. There is a notorious Trump supporter that lives in my apartment building, and I have never been a fan, but I have always ignored him. I've heard all kinds of stories of some of the things that he has said to some of the other residents in the building, particularly women. And one of my neighbors has repeatedly asked me to walk her home because she has to go past this guy's porch. His deck is outside patio. And he'll say things to her. So she's always like, can you just walk me home? Just walk me to my door so I can get past this guy's patio so he won't talk to me. So he's already established himself as a menace. He was walking around with his MAGA hat all summer long. Not a fan. He's largely left me alone because I'm giving him the chilliest fuck you vibes that I can muster. Today I'm outside walking my dog, and as luck would have it, he is approaching us on the path. We're going in opposite directions, so we're about to pass each other. So I am, ironically, playing Defying Gravity on my phone, having just seen Wicked last night. Just listening to my music, walking my dog, minding my business, just about to pass this guy. And he says, "Hi there." And I just keep walking, totally ignore him. And he didn't like that. So he decides to follow it up with, "What's the matter? You don't like me?" Listen, sir, we were coexisting. I was being civil in the face of all the comments that you have made about the women that live in this building, in the face of my friend and neighbor asking me to escort her home past you so that you would not harass her. And I have shown great restraint in not saying anything to you up until today. So you're going to fuck around? Now you're going to find out. So he says, "What's the matter? You don't like me?" And I stopped. I made strong, cold eye contact. And I said, "I am not interested in getting to know you because from everything that I have seen and heard, I am certain that I would not like you." And then I cranked Defying Gravity and I walked away. I didn't stick around to give him a chance to reply. I'm not interested in a conversation. A few years ago, I would have played the game, right? The game that all women know. Oh, I would have laughed and smiled and said something stupid or silly to diffuse the situation, to massage this guy's ego, to placate him. "Oh, no, I'm tired, or I'm busy, or of course I like you. Why wouldn't I? Oh, you have such a cute dog." Some bullshit. But I'm not playing by the patriarchal rules anymore. I'm done. Fuck it. In the words of Cynthia Erivo, something has changed within me. You fuck around?
The United States is the greatest economic and military superpower in the history of the world, and they are our neighbor. The U.S. is responsible for $1.2 trillion of our trade. We trade almost twice as much with the Americans as we trade with the rest of the world combined. Trade with the U.S. is 40% of our economy. President Trump yesterday made an unjustified threat of a 25% tariff on our already weak and shrinking economy. Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland were surprised, amazingly. Everyone else knew something like this could be coming because President Trump had been talking about it for years on the campaign trail. Yet 20 days ago, Chrystia Freeland said, "Don't worry, Canada will be fine." Apparently, neither she nor Justin Trudeau were following what the incoming president was.
If you put tariffs on China, prices will go up. Donald Trump did exactly that. Manufacturing came back and prices went down for American citizens.
This is not true. After the series of tariffs passed in 2018, U.S. consumer prices for affected goods rose. Boom, boom, and boom. This is in contrast to the Chinese and non-Chinese goods that were not affected by the tariffs. And then China responded with retaliatory tariffs, and that affected our export prices. American producers and farmers had to lower their selling price to China in order to compete. Source: after doing a little bit of math and science, they find that tariffs exhibited nearly complete pass through to the consumer, the incidence of the tariff lies largely with the United States. This is not an isolated result. Another paper here looked at the large 20% tariff placed on all imported washing machines. They found that the price of washers and dryers rose after the tariff, that's the red and blue line, and this is in comparison with other large appliances which did not see a price rise, the refrigerators in green and dishwashers in yellow. Some might be saying, hey, I'll pay those prices if it means saving US jobs. Okay, I'm sympathetic to that goal, but is this the best way to do that? Washing machines became more expensive, and that resulted with a total cost to consumers of $1.5 billion every year. We can divide that by the number of domestic jobs that might have been saved, and we find a cost of roughly $900,000 per job. Now, where did that money go? Not to the workers. They were making a salary a tenth of that. It mostly just vanishes into thin air. Less trade means less efficiency. Tariffs gum up our production processes. Throwing a wrench into the machine to save a mechanic's job is not a path to sustainable prosperity. In fact, once we take into account all the effects of the retaliatory tariffs, this paper finds that U.S. manufacturing experiences reduction in employment and increases in producer prices. And you can see the picture here. Less employment and higher prices. A recent paper looked at the counties that were affected by the trade war. Protectionist tariffs didn't save any jobs, and then the retaliatory tariffs had a clear negative employment impact. There's a reason why economists from all different political backgrounds agree that tariffs are borne by the consumer.
America can't invade Canada. Trump can't conquer Canada. America is not in a position to conquer anyone. When I was working on the next Civil War, I spoke with a lot of counterinsurgency experts from the United States, and they made it pretty clear that the American military has learned painfully over the course of 70 years that you cannot really hold a population against its will, even if only a tiny fragment of that population considers you holding them against their will. So, if they can't hold Baghdad, I'm not sure why they think they can hold Montreal. But the truth is that what this is really is the ramblings of lunacy and imminent breakdown. And that's what it's really a symptom of. I mean, I think you can see Los Angeles is burning and they can't stop it. They can't even stop blaming each other for it. Ordinary citizens, some with Ivy League degrees, are starting to kill their business elites and to widespread approval. They don't have even a shred of solidarity. And to make war, you need solidarity. And that is the one thing they absolutely don't have. America's also not used to fighting wars that aren't divided from them by an ocean. They would suddenly have an enemy that was along this huge border. And also, they're extremely vulnerable to attacks on their homeland. They're not a people used to suffering for war, which inevitably they would in this fantasy situation. That doesn't mean that Canada's out of the woods or that suddenly we're not under threat. We're actually under very deep threat, and we need to prepare for economic, political, social, and cultural chaos. It's just actual conquest is...
Well, a little more FAFO for the U.S. after their tariff threats to Canada. Not only did we respond with tariffs, hold my beer, we took your stuff off our shelves, boycotted as many products as we could, tore up hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contracts, and the only thing we ended up agreeing to in the end after you folded in 3 days was the same thing we agreed to in 2024 when Biden was in office. But what you did is you pissed us off, and you told us, we can't trust you as allies, and we can't trust you as trade partners. So we jumped on the phone, we called up China, and we said, hey, how do you feel about a free trade agreement? And China responded with, we feel peachy keen. So now we're taking hundreds of billions of dollars out of the U.S. economy and reducing our dependency on the U.S. to send it all to China. So how do you guys feel about that? FAFO, right?
Now, after carefully watching these videos, we can clearly see that these people love one another. The United States of America loves the people of the U.S., loves the people of Canada. And when a war happens, or rather when a rumor of a war happens, it is not that the citizens of this country hate the citizens of that country. No. For instance, we have war in DRC, and also the DRC government is blaming the Rwandan government for the war. But the Rwandese people are friendly to the DRC people. Those people are okay with one another. At least in the majority, they are okay with one another. The same way, the people of the United States of America, the citizens, are okay with the citizens of Canada. They are not the ones who implement the decisions that cause the brushing of shoulders, you know. The people who cause these are the people in power, the leaders, you know, such as Trump, such as the president maybe of Canada. The people on top create problems for the few people at the bottom. And then it happens that these people are not the ones who fight. The people who fight are the ones who are called the innocent citizens, you know. But come to think of it, would there be a war between Canada and the USA? I don't think there would ever exist a war between these two countries. At least not in our lifetime. Not now. Maybe long when we are gone. Long when Trump is gone. Trump, in as much as he may seem to be a person who is extravagant, Trump is a peacemaker. When Trump was in power, we never had the Ukraine war. When Trump was in power, we never had a lot of things that happened during the Biden administration. You know, he's a man of peace, a man of thought. He's an entrepreneur. He lifts the economies of the USA. It is only that his implementations are very radical. His implementation to make America a better place, even if it means hurting other people. But coming to think of it, I don't think these two countries will fight one another. It might be some economical differences, political differences, but not social differences. These people are one, and they love one another and they support one another. They've been doing this for the longest time possible. America is the big brother, Canada is the small brother. Yeah, the big brother takes care of the small brother. Yeah, they don't fight one another. I don't think there'll be a possibility of war. And if you think there'll be a possibility of war, tell us what you think on the comment section and let's further this discussion over there. Yeah, this is EFK Original Documentaries. If you like what I do, subscribe to the channel. I will surely appreciate, and see you in the next one.